Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by
Sphere Exclusives. Looking for exclusive content from your favorite podcasts here at the Sphere? Head over to sphere.tv/Patreon and sign up today. True Digital Media Consulting. You're online right now and so are your customers, but marketing has to be a consistent journey. True Digital Media Consulting can help with your online ads, organic growth, and so much more. Contact us today at 832-934-4436 or visit our website at truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Lady Ari Natural Hair Care. Lady Ari Natural Hair Care has been a prime destination for catering to naturally kinky hair in Houston, Texas. Give the experts a call today at area code 832-265-3792 or book online at ladyari.com.
Good morning. What's going on, everyone? It's your man, Kalen Laws, a.k.a. Senior Wapo. You're tuned into the latest, the greatest, the livest, the dopest, the most relevant edition of Society Now right here on the Sphere.tv. Certainly appreciate you. Do me a quick favor, all right? Go to Instagram, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, and follow your boy. That's Senior Wapo 713 at SENORGUAPO 713. Holla at your boy. Again, this is Society Now. We have real talk, real facts, real discussion, real news. And I got a really, really, really dope co-host. My other half, my baby mama, my wife, my partner in time. Hey, babe.
Hey, that introduction was so, thick and dense, and I was like, oh my God, am I gonna be a part of the show today? I don't know. Well, hey everyone, it's Saturday morning. Thank you for tuning in with us, and you can follow me on Instagram at the Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with CINDI. You can follow me on, I guess I would say all social media platforms, but on the Twitter you can follow me at Modern Day Cindy. Know the
boom.
Now listen, with so many things happening this week in the news. I mean, seriously, there were highs and lows. A lot of since 2016, it's been controversial. Let's just be clear about this. It's all about,
for sure,
for the federal side, and local government also has been stirring up some things as well. But we have a great guest today that are going to give us their insight, truthful insight.
Yes.
Uncut, uncensored, maybe even a little anecdotal.
Listen, we're going to have some fun.
We'll let them introduce themselves. So who we have here?
Who do we have here? Professor McShay.
There it is.
There it is.
Come on, Prof.
We're going to do that.
Come
We're
on,
gonna
Prof.
do that.
You can follow me on Twitter at Professor McShay.
There it is.
There you go.
Prof.
And you can follow me on Instagram at, don't want to give you that one, Pretty Petty Politics Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, there it is. And they can tune into the podcast, right?
Yes, you can tune in Monday nights.
Where can they tune in?
7:30. Thecore94.com.
Boom.
Or you can check us out on our Facebook with the same name as our Instagram, Pretty Petty Politics.
Pretty Petty Politics.
Because they are pretty and they are petty.
No, but it's all politics.
But it's all politics.
It's all politics.
And who else we have in the building?
Yes, sir, is Mr. R2 with Texas Black Pages. I came all the way from Killeen, so I don't live around the corner.
Ooh.
We appreciate you
I
coming
live on
in.
the other
What
side of
Killeen
Texas.
stand for?
Oh Lord, don't let her go there. Don't let her go there. Nah, it's just building relationships. This is what it's about. Building relationships where we can come and share that same space. I'm definitely a person who garner and fosters relationships, so I'm definitely happy to be here. This pretty lady right here with the smile, I take that back.
Wow.
Shots fired.
I make Ronnie blush.
Nah, just
The
happened
show
to be
might be
here.
going a different direction today. Wait, we might be talking about politics.
Oh, we talking about
It's a
politics.
connection. Is there a connection, baby?
Listen,
It
it might be.
connection. We might be doing something different today, y'all. I'm
The-
just kidding.
Ronnie, finish introducing yourself, please, because these two right here, they'll get you
Okay,
We
me,
said pretty petty, right?
She did.
She has been
Politics.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry,
Pretty
my bad.
petty.
My fault.
Nah, prior military, I did 22 years in the Army, joined
Wow.
at 18, retired from the Army at 39 out of Fort Hood, Texas. And this is what it's about, building bridges so people can cross and being the resource for those who need that voice and the resources.
First of all, let me shake your hand. Thank you so
Appreciate it,
much
sir.
for your service, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Seriously, real talk. I have, as I've gotten older, man, I have such an increased appreciation for our active, former, and fallen service members. Like, y'all are, like, seriously, scarcely would a good man,
Yes,
what the
sir.
scripture says. So I certainly, like, real talk. I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for you guys, man. Y'all are the best of us. Real
Yes,
talk.
sir.
Y'all really
Appreciate
are. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. I do. So, Miss July, what's
up?
going on?
Nothing. I'm
How you-
happy to be
you happy to
here.
be here?
You all came to my space last month, and I'm happy to
Yes.
be in your space
Listen,
this morning on a Saturday morning when I like to wake up and just lay in bed till noon.
Oh wow, I can't
Yeah, we
even
don't
do it.
even
I
know
can't
what
But
that
do
is.
it's a pleasure
we
to
got
be
two
here.
little ones. I don't know.
I don't think I did that before too. I just
Well, I
can't lay
did. I
like
ain't gonna
that.
lie about that. I should.
I can
certainly.
do work in bed, but I like to
Really?
lounge. I'm a lounger.
Okay.
What do you enjoy doing? Lounging.
Okay, I mean, who do you love? LL Cool J. Who
Right.
do you love?
We're right. She
Yeah.
loved the lounge, huh?
Okay. So let's talk about it. Okay, so who are you? Well, who are you? Let's start with you. Who are you? What do you do? Everything that you do.
Oh.
And
Go
what
ahead
was
and
your
brag.
entry into politics? As you are Pretty Petty Politics podcast.
Go ahead and brag. This is your
Okay.
time.
So I am my mother's child. No,
For sure.
I am that. But so I got into politics because of my mother, honestly. As a child, my mother made sure we were very civically oriented, involved. And so we we have modeled our lives after our upbringing.
Okay.
So I was always involved in campaigns. The very first campaign that I worked, that gentleman is now, maybe he's retired, but he has been the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Florida,
Oh, wow.
and that's Charles Kennedy. I'm from Central Florida, Polk County. Shout out to Polk County, PC.
That Florida
can't-
came right on out, didn't it?
if you-
It came-
if you
it
can't
jumped
hear the
out.
accent.
I just jumped out.
If you can't hear the
Baby,
accent.
listen, I am.
That's
Yeah,
so
I
funny.
might be in Texas, and I am a Texan now, but I will always be from Polk County,
I hear
Florida.
you.
That's all
I ain't
right.
mad.
That's all right.
So that's the earliest of my involvement in politics, and I've seen both sides of the coin, both Republican and Democrat. I've worked on national campaigns, local campaigns, regional campaigns, and I majored in public administration twice for undergrad and for my master's. I hold my law degree. Shout out to all three of my HBCUs.
Oh, really?
Right.
And I love just sharing the power of and the necessity for understanding politics and civic responsibility. I know economic responsibility is something that our community is becoming more fascinated and involved with. But if you don't hold hands with the political issues, or if you don't mix politics and economics together, you're not going to be as strong because
Right,
they both
right,
influence one
right.
another. And so that's what I strive to do. So I'm also an entrepreneur
Absolutely.
as well as a professor and a podcast host and an overall socialite. When you say Ronnie?
Come on, yeah, she's a socialite. She gets it in, boy.
The Southern socialite.
Yeah, I love
Listen,
it.
she's always out and about. She
I
is.
am.
You are always. I was like, I did dinner party. I'm like, oh, Friday.
Building relationships.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. Okay, now Ronnie, tell us about you. Tell us about everything.
That's the other IG page she didn't want to say. Me started Texas Black Pages because I was getting lost. Got here in the military at Fort Hood, 2013, mid 2013, but got orders to deploy in 2014, and I didn't come back till like December. So I still didn't know too much about Texas. And, you know, I'm from North Carolina. So.
Okay, where about?
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville? Yeah, no doubt.
So
I got recruited
still
by UC Asheville.
Coming here in the state of Texas, there were more soldiers that was coming, didn't know where to go, didn't know who was who. So I began to build out Texas Black Pages in 2016. There was only 87 businesses signed up. And once I retired in September, I was able to work that passion and build more relationships, and it went from 87 to over 5,000 in less than 17 months, and that's based off of relationships.
Wow.
And connecting with individuals and organizations. A lot of times bidding places that, you know, you're the only black face in there.
Yeah.
But knowing what your responsibility is, which is to bring it back to the fold. And just begin to grow from there. Right now, we have over 7,500 black-owned businesses registered statewide in the directory itself, where it's more than just a directory. It's resources, it's information. Having strategic alliances with 6 chambers of commerce in the state of Texas. There are 23 black chambers of commerce in Texas, and we have strategic alliance with 6 of them. So that's pretty much what I do. I'm a connector. I know what my calling is. If there's something that I know I'm not supposed to do, I'm not going to do it.
Look.
You know, I'll say it quick. That's not my calling. So I don't think I'm gonna go that route. You know, and that's knowing. You know, we need to know what our calling is.
Absolutely.
And hold ourselves accountable for that
Absolutely.
There
calling,
you
and
go.
hold other people accountable for their calling as well. If they're not supposed to do it, don't try to bring them in. I'm a cook.
You're right.
Why am I trying to bring you in on trying to create, build buildings? Like, nah,
Right.
it doesn't go together. You build your recipes to cook, but you know,
Right.
And that's just this is what I do. You know, I hold people accountable, and I hold myself accountable as well. Just building relationships again, and architect.
So, organic question: with that holding each other and yourself accountable, where do you think it fits in terms of you know? Because I totally agree that we should hold each other accountable. We should, but also I think that we do want to stress growth because we're not monolithic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes especially with our elders, they want us to sit. Like I was having a conversation with my mom today, this morning on the way home from the radio station, and she was like, "Man, when y'all tell me about everything y'all got going on, I just get confused because that generation, many of them, you know, they don't." That growth, they grow in that one sector or in that one
They're
place.
not into that Renaissance thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not into that Renaissance thing, and so it's interesting to me because I do think that you have to hold people accountable for the space that you're in,
Right.
But we have to push growth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we got to push something else, and that is the exclusive team. This portion of the show is sponsored by the Sphere Exclusive Team. Are you looking for exclusive content that you can't find anywhere else? Well, look no further than our Sphere exclusives, found only on Patreon. We've got behind-the-scenes shots happening daily at the Sphere Podcast Studios. Each show on the podcast network curates episodes that are only delivered to Patreon subscribers. Plus, we deliver the show live from start to finish in our Discord server that's exclusive to our Patreon family. You can sign up today at www.thesphere.tv/Patreon to join our $2, $5, or $8 Patreon tier and get all the access to all of the exclusive content we offer at the Sphere. Go to that website, get your credit card out, swipe. It's just that simple. We appreciate it. but you know, with that accountability, I think that's another level of accountability. We have to require each other to grow. You know what I'm saying? We have to require each other to grow, and so it's important. And it really blew my mind when I was talking to my mom, and I consider my mom, even though she's my mother, she's 60 years old, but I consider her to be a progressive. To be not even a progressive 60-year-old, just a progressive person. But when she said that to me this morning, I was like, it just blew my mind. Like, wait a minute, what? You don't get it? You know, very interesting, very, very interesting in terms of that.
Because I felt the same way. To be honest, it's funny that you're having that conversation. Because my dad was prior military.
Okay.
And, you know, he has a USA account, and I have a USA account.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to send him money, and I'm like, Dad, is just faster through the app. He was like, nah, I don't have the app. I'm like, you have to have the app in order for money to be sent a lot faster. I made him download the USA app.
Uh-huh.
I made him download the Cash App. I said, on Cash App, I can send you money a whole lot faster instead of going through USA, because USA use a third party to send funds. And I said, download Cash App. I said, I'm going to send you $1 and you have this notification. That is digital currency, and go ahead and order the debit card. And that's, my father was my first platoon sergeant. My father was my first drill sergeant. Everything that I learned from the beginning, especially as a man, I learned from my father.
Absolutely.
But now the teacher has reversed the roles.
Yeah.
And, he taught everything about progression, but now I'm teaching him. And I'm not gonna lie, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. I'm like, I had to calm down because I felt myself getting upset, and I had to slow down.
Right.
And
Oh, wow.
acknowledge I had to slow down.
That's
See, that's
me. That
my
sounds
problem.
like
I
me.
have to slow down too sometimes. I just get the rattling off.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, yeah, I don't know. I caught like 12% of it. I'm like, how did you catch it? Okay, you know what? My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
a good
totally agree.
conversation. Because I think that goes into where we are right now, and I guess we're in that in-between generation where we are doing a lot more teaching and turning around and teaching not just the generation in front of us or behind us, but the ones in front of us, right? We're actually leaning in and like, okay, parent, not even just grandparent, but parent,
Right.
this is what you need to know to survive. This is what we're doing to survive now. And it totally is mind-blowing. Like what you said, your mom, it's mind-blowing because they don't understand. We see things a lot bigger than they say. They see it very narrow. It's a very narrow view. Like, just get stability, because we're counting on that one job and stability, and you work there for 30 years, and then you're good.
Listen,
Oh, let's talk about that.
And
I
that
don't
we
want no
can't-
gold Rolex, no gold
and it's
Casio
no
after
knock
30
to those
years.
who there.
She's not
Because
me.
that's what they know. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
what I'm
like
saying.
we seeing things totally different now because we're exposed to more, right?
So with my mom, because my father's deceased, 20 years, April 28th. But with my mom, I just kind of compartmentalize what I share.
Yes, you have to.
I let her know what's going on, but
for safety reasons.
yeah, because it's too many questions.
and I want to love you after the conversation.
And so, and with me living here in Texas, she's in Florida.
Yeah.
So when I'm home, maybe I can explain more, but I'm not gonna do that all that over
the phone.
Or I let my sister tell her.
And even that, even that can get frustrating. 'cause
But you
like,
have to just kind of know
what you share and what don't you.
how much you share, because it can be overwhelming.
Listen,
and I get it.
And I want to share something with our Facebook Live audience, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. But you've got to subscribe to the rest of the show. So how can you do that? Hit subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you find your podcast content. Society Now is there. You can review our show across the platforms and help us to build better content for you. And you can share. Again, I say share the entire show with your family and friends right here from the Sphere Podcast Facebook page. And last but not least, support. I say support our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can do that by giving a one-time donation at thesphere.tv/donate, or you can get exclusive content almost daily via our Patreon tier. Sign up there at www.thesphere.tv/Patreon. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Now let's talk about what's been going on.
Let's talk
because
about it.
I
Let's
really
talk
I was
about-
kind of scrolling through the news this week. Just kind of scrolling through.
Scrolling through.
Scrolling
And
through
what did
because-
you find?
I mean, there's so many things, many things, but I wanted to kind of start light. This is gonna be the light version.
Okay.
This is politics light
Politics life.
because there's so many deeper things, but it's all interconnected. When I say this first thing, y'all gonna be like, oh, okay, we see where we're going with this. Okay. So did y'all know about the ACLU is suing the FBI?
The ACLU is suing the FBI.
Okay. For sealed documents that label black activists as domestic threats.
Oh, that's been.
Yeah, but
I didn't know the ACLU was suing them,
Yeah.
but that's not new news.
Yeah,
that
but as I'm
label,
saying,
yeah.
it was starting off with somewhere, and we're going somewhere with this conversation.
Okay.
I think the deeper thing is that
They
as
all but called King that.
I mean, okay, so this has been ongoing, right? But we're seeing how it's all starting to overlap because now we're in a time where everyone sees everything, right? Social media exposes everything like quickly. Where, generations ago, you didn't see everything. You kind of heard about it, got to pass through the news if you saw it, maybe your local persons. But, we had the black pages, we had, but then we had other books, or,
Right.
information being passed. But the ACLU suing the FBI is kind of like a big deal for those who didn't know that these things were, happening. I think a lot of people didn't I don't think. First of all, I don't think a lot of people know you can sue the FBI. Let's start there. Let's start there.
No.
You know,
You
that's
can sue everybody.
I mean, you
can.
I mean, you can sue everybody technically, but I don't think people knew you can sue them.
people think government bureaus are untouchable.
Yeah,
they really do.
So that's a big thing. That's a conversation. Like people not knowing you can sue the FBI, but then suing for something that I think inherently has been part of our identity.
Freedom of information.
Freedom of
Right.
information. But also the flip of that is we're always, in terms of activism, like always looked at as a threat.
You know, I to me, you're 100% correct. We looked at, forget activism before even that. Yes, for sure. But we looked at it as a threat because of our blacktivism, of our
Well, yeah,
skin.
so
I'm an advocate,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
I don't let people
Decriminalize
call
it.
me an activist.
Well,
I've determined that I'm not going to use that word
Well, I
anymore
mean,
because
it's-
they try to weaponize
Yeah,
it
no,
against
Was
me.
it, and so
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
for sure,
issue.
for
So
sure.
I'm an advocate.
Come on now. So we're going
I
to
love
change our language.
I love it.
Yes.
Stop
'cause
using
words-
activist
Yeah.
and use advocate.
Yeah.
Advocate.
I'm an advocate.
But
This is
but
why
you
we
know,
love her.
I know, and
Because
that's really powerful.
it's more of an appropriate term for actually what we're doing.
Yeah, for
True
sure.
that,
For
true
sure.
that.
But I think it's important that this is happening because the conversation gets lost about how we're viewed. You see what I'm saying? Like we know that Dr. King and the Panthers.
If you black and you using your mouth to help black people, you are listed.
absolutely,
Period.
absolutely. But our little brothers is right.
With a,
Period.
and a D and
With
a
a
T.
T.
Yeah.
But
Shout
our
out City
little
Girls
brother-
Dade County. 305.
Stand up.
Gotta love her.
The ratchet professor.
But I think it's important to understand, right, that our little brothers and sisters don't know, and they're disconnected from it.
Right.
You know what I'm
A
saying?
lot of
So
them really don't know.
yeah, exactly. A
And
lot
it's
of our
not
students.
necessarily little sisters and brothers. It
No,
could
sir.
be our contemporaries.
It
True
could be
that.
our contemporaries. They just don't know how we're viewed, and so when you see legislation or a case like this rather pop up, it's wait a minute, what? It's eye opening to a lot of folks because they just didn't realize how demonized and weaponized we've been on every level, not just a social level, but
Right.
even from an infrastructure or from a legal or a political or a sociological, lens.
What do we do to decriminalize activism or being an advocate?
Advocacy.
So you
advocacy.
don't decriminalize it. What you do is you don't feed into the theory that's being made about you. So the theory is that you're this bad person. So you don't feed into it. You just do the work. And I think we get caught up too much in how we're perceived by others instead of how we perceive ourselves. Because if I perceive myself as a child of the King, I'm going to operate in that. You know, if I perceive myself as being brilliant, I'm going to operate in that. So if I'm worried about, well, I'm labeled as a terrorist or activist or this special group, the hell with them. People going to think what they going to think.
For
I don't
sure.
care if it's the FBI, if it's Tisha down the street, Michael
Sure.
down around the corner. People gonna think what they're gonna think, but what are you gonna do? So it's not about decriminalizing it, because if they want you to be a criminal or this bad person, you can't control their theory. Only thing you can control is your narrative, what you say about you, and make sure that aligns with what God says about you.
Right, for sure.
And yes, I'm a righteous professor and a woman of God.
I told you.
Hallelujah.
What did I tell
It's
y'all before?
important
I
that
love-
people know
Hallelujah.
that.
I love Jesus and trap music.
Hey.
all day.
Nah, but I think what she said is definitely 100% on point. You just do the work.
Yeah.
Let the work speak for itself, not the label that they put on you. Because oftentimes the label is their perception,
Yeah.
not the activity nor the actions of your work. The perception of what they see you do is activist because of the activity, not what you're doing. Because when you're an advocate, that's different. You have to speak and walk in a different type of light and speak a different type of language because you are an advocate.
And I think people adopt the term because I've used it. Now, let's not act like I've never called myself an activist or accept it when I'm being introduced and they say activist, right? But what occurred to me was I was accepting something that I'm not because it was familiar. And we do that, right? And so I realized, no, I'm not an activist because that's a takeaway. That's taking something away from me. I'm advocating. I'm speaking something. You know, when you look at those terms and how they're perceived in society today, when you hear activists, it puts you in the mind of certain things, right? And the fact that we get labeled, we really don't hear that label being used outside of our community.
But isn't that the issue though, that we have allowed this narrative to be colored
And we've accepted it.
We've accepted it, but who started activism, right? Where did that come from? You know what
Jesus,
I mean? Right.
Moses,
right? And we have allowed the media, multimedia, whomever, to color it in such a negative light, like you said, and it only applies to.
But it's always been, who do you think you are? To really, you're advocating to be so active and doing things. I mean, you look
active and also activating others.
Look. When you look at the Gospels, right? You look at the Gospels. Look how they treated Jesus when he healed the lady with the issue of blood. Your faith has healed you.
Yeah, for sure.
They looking at him like, who do you think you are? You know what she is, you know? Or the lady who cried, not the one who washed his feet with her tears and Luke, right? They treated him like, why are you helping her? She a hoe. Like. Why are you advocating or being active for her, speaking on her behalf, you know? So it's always been these tiers, and when you're on these higher tiers, you're looking down at people. And so they can't understand when you're on this tier why you're not looking down, but you're actually reaching out.
Yeah.
So you're reaching out, now you a problem.
Yeah.
Why you do that? Who you think you are?
Why
aren't you acting like us?
I mean, the issue is we especially, I think humans, period, we get comfortable and get
elitists.
With that, but we get comfortable with status quo.
Yeah.
We don't like anything to rock our boat and to rock our way of life, especially when you start talking about our Western world and our Western views and how we, you know what I'm saying? So you start going against, well, this is the way it's always been, or you start going, then you're going to get pushback and you're a troublemaker. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what the Messiah dealt with, you know, because he was going against the law.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things that I think it's important that we continue to have the conversation. I don't care about being an activist or an advocate. I'll be whatever you want to call me as long as the work get done.
I'm me.
Facts.
I think
I'm gonna work till it's time to take a nap.
Listen, I think. Come on, nap.
Come on, fresh skin.
Come on, fresh skin.
Rest.
Come on, mud mask.
Hello.
You so crazy. But this episode is sponsored by True Digital. That is so funny, y'all. This episode is sponsored by True Digital. You're online right now, and so are your customers. The question is, how do you actively reach them? Marketing has to be a consistent journey, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. True Digital Media Consulting can help with website development, online ads, your business reputation, and organic growth on search engines. Give us a call today to discuss a customized strategy for your business at 832-934-4436, or send us an email at info@truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Mention the Sphere to receive the free 30-minute strategy consultation today. You are so funny.
I am gonna make that call.
Please make that call.
Oh, absolutely.
But I got something.
Talk
so listen to how it's the perception. So when you look up the word activist, it said a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. And then the sentence right under it,
The adjective.
police arrested 3 activists. So then when you go to advocate, a person.
That's how they describe
What the hell?
Right.
The hell.
Then when you look up advocate, it said a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. Then the sentence under that is, he was a unturing advocate for economic reform.
Okay, so we have so many issues with that. Who is writing this stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Automatically, that's that negative connotation.
Just like devil
Instantly.
food versus angel food.
In
case.
definition, the police arrested the activist.
The activist.
But the advocate
that's
was
so-
all soft
that's-
and subtle.
that's
We're
so
trying
powerful.
to make change through cause.
I mean,
That's-
I'm an advocate.
Right. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. This is what privilege looks like. It's privilege unleashed, right? It's almost like you cannot be for your people and also, I guess, galvanize the masses without understanding that the terminology we choose to accept actually makes us, a criminal. Well, criminalizes the activity.
Absolutely.
Criminalizes the activity. So what were you going to talk about like that to tie this in? Because we were talking this morning on the way here about the Jussie case.
About Jussie, right? You
Oh,
know.
this is the society, so we have to talk about it.
We have to talk about.
No.
We're not talking about. We talking about what's happening with.
Hear me. What I'm saying. So we know what's been happening. He was all the charges were dropped Tuesday, right? But so Van Jones released an expose, a video of some months back about how we need to be aware of the other side. Don't just get if you're a leftist, if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, don't just subscribe to everything Democratic, left, liberal, etc. You need to do your due diligence.
Talking about.
And so I said, you know what? I mean, I knew that, but I didn't put it in practice regarding politics because I just really don't like a lot of the right. But I started doing it, and so on my feed, when all of that stuff started happening, with Jussie getting his all the charges dropped, the feed was going bananas by some of the groups that I follow, and I'm kind of just trolling the comments and seeing what they say and how they think. And they
not trolling, reading,
thinking,
okay.
Not trolling, because I'm not trying to argue with nobody and all that for what. But I say that to say that they started talking about privilege, right? And I said, okay, wow, all right, let me dig some more. And it was so many comments regarding the amount of privilege. They said that he got off because of his privilege, because of his fame, because of his money, etc. This is why it happened. They're disregarding the corruptness that is
Chicago PD.
You know what I'm saying?
And the history.
They're disregarding, the excessive charges that were given, 16 counts for filing. Like crazy.
40 years.
So they're disregarding the facts of the case in the historical context of it. But it got me thinking about privilege and how we own the conversation, rightfully so, in terms of how white privilege has been lorded over us for a millennia, right? The Western world for a millennia. But privilege exists in a number of different ways. So I started thinking, and I've said this before. For example, in the professional world, we have more privilege than y'all as black women. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And then of course. So we look at white privilege. It was just a kind of an understanding of how white privilege 100% exists, but everybody has some sort of privilege in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And my question I wanted to ask you guys on the spot, specifically regarding white privilege. What do we want white people to do with their white privilege?
Advocate.
Be an advocate for the fight against.
Because I know someone who had a colleague who was saying, I'm not going to apologize for my white privilege.
So, and I'm just going to go ahead and say, I've had several colleagues tell me that they can't apologize for their privilege. They're very much aware of it. However, on both occasions, they were like, but because I'm aware of my privilege, I also am aware of the things that you don't have, right? So this is what I can do, for you. I can make you aware of some of the issues that you're going to come up against in this environment. And that's at best as much as I can do because I can't change who I am. Right. I told Kaylin, I said, I appreciate that. Well, it came out of nowhere. I appreciate the candidness of the conversation. I appreciated acknowledging that, what we are up against is not fake. You know what I mean? It's not a false thing. It's not like, oh my God, I'm making this up, But I told her I thought it was interesting that the conversation went where it went because we were talking about opportunities for growth in the work and professional world. And immediately was told that, a lot of people are not, you might not get to certain places because there are some people that just don't believe that you should be there because they think how you got here is from affirmative action. They don't believe that, you got here because you're smart. Or that you worked hard because you're qualified. And so when you look at that, it's almost like initially I want to say we could look at that in very separately. But I think a lot of times when it comes to people of color, the assumption is if in fact we ever get off on anything or if we ever ascend to something, it's because someone opened a door for us or shut something else down. It's not because we were truly honest in our attempts or truly deserving. You see what I'm saying? And I think it comes in our professional endeavors. It comes in whether you're a celebrity or not. A lot of times we are up against this idea that whatever happens to us, if it's on the good side, it's because someone did it for us.
And to me, that comes from a privileged mindset.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what's interesting to me. It wasn't the judge. I mean, I have my comments about the Jussie stuff, but they kept talking about, you know, like they were saying, the comments were saying, well, this was a white man that had lied on these two black guys. Chicago would be under fire. Chicago.
Most people still don't remember Susan Smith's name,
exactly.
so that's BS.
Yeah,
I'm like Chicago has been known. Let's not go there.
Yeah, but they kept looking at it from a lens of privilege, and I was like, wow.
I've never seen anybody get drugged the way they drag this dude. Never. Barbecue Becky didn't get drugged like this, and it was limited to social media. We didn't see it in the news the way we're seeing it. Like, I'm like, all these.
Here's the thing: we're black. It's apparent that we're black.
Right.
I'm black. I'm black.
Well, we're black to black.
We're black, right? And so when my blackness is spotted, it's treated a certain kind of way.
It's earmarked
often, right? Perceptions and feelings and all that are created. However, in my blackness, I walk around like Samuel Jackson.
Screaming at everybody.
No, I don't give a damn. Yeah. Motherfucker, I like me.
Right. It's just facts.
I'm
facts.
You got to love Samuel.
Samuel.
Yeah. You don't say Samuel L. It's Samuel.
You gotta say it.
Samuel.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts though.
But and he's like my hero. He's my uncle.
He's
my fairy godfather.
Uncle.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you hear his story and you look at him, like I used to get down because I didn't pass the bar the first time.
Yeah.
Or the second time. You know what I'm saying? And I failed out of law school the first time.
Yeah,
Thurgood. Why Thurgood the only place that got a curve? First of all, that's a whole nother show.
First of all, and baby, let me tell you, that thing, listen, it ain't real, y'all. That thing make you think you are not smart.
Yes, I mean, I went, when I curved out of Thurgood, first of all, they post your numbers, right? I went straight to Good Hope. I didn't know where to go. I knew to go
you had
to
on your
the
face.
Lord.
You was like, I had to get up off
to the altar.
Yes. Yes.
Come to me, all you are weary and
heavy laden.
Listen.
That thing will throw your whole mind off.
So, I've had pitfalls. So he had drug addiction. I had failures. Right. And now I'm at a chapter in my life where none of that stuff was in vain. Like, I'm seeing my wildest dreams come true. I'm getting more wilder dreams, right? And so when I listen to him, he was in his 40s before his career took off.
Yeah.
Now, my whole life, he been Samuel Jackson.
Samuel.
You know what I'm saying?
Gator.
I smoked the TV, mama.
I smoked it.
Right.
But I use him as an example because people gonna feel how the hell they gonna feel.
For sure.
They gonna use their privilege.
Yeah.
They gonna use it. And so your question was, what do we want them to do with it? Just don't weaponize it against me.
That's good.
You know.
Let's start there.
Some of it is gonna be weaponized innately, though.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's in the DNA, and people don't understand. Your history is a part of your DNA. The things that you've experienced and welcomed and practiced in your life become a part of your DNA. The things that were practiced and experienced by those who birthed you are in your DNA and who birthed them. So at some point, you've just got to learn how to manage what that is. And us as black people, we've learned how to manage because the world is scared of us because, well, as far as black people in America especially, afraid of us because, and I would say in Africa too, because we have not responded
like we could
in
have.
kind.
Like the world would respond.
We haven't responded in kind.
You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
We have tucked away and still found a way.
And still pushed through.
Right? A way to push through and not treat you the way you treat me. And
that's good, McShay.
White folks have said that to me. You know what I'm saying? And I've been around white folks my whole life. I'm not somebody who grew up and just went to all black schools, all black neighborhood. My mama purposely put me in a white school 1st through 3rd grade. First time I was called a nigga, I was in 1st grade.
Wow.
My first best friend is he's a doctor now, David Ellington. You know what I'm saying? And we grew up together. That was my first best friend, you know. But my experience is this. It does not matter how they think of me. Because if I put my life on the perception of how people feel about me, I'm never going to live my life. I'm going to be living their life trying to make them comfortable in their perception.
Facts.
And I think we have to get out of that. So for white privilege, because I have friends who have some white ass privilege. You hear me?
Too.
Listen,
White ass
do
privilege.
and they have
Start
no
with
idea.
Start with my very first best friend.
Yeah.
Right, first grade, David Ellington. His name alone opened doors for him where
Right.
we're
For sure.
from.
Right.
You know, like Todd Blue.
That sounds
it
not
sound privileged, don't it?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But they didn't treat me any different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They treated me like, shit, you here too. Like,
Yeah.
turn up. You
Yeah.
know, that wasn't the language then, but
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. But long as you're not weaponizing your privilege against me, and I think that's where we are in this social climate. People are weaponizing their white privilege boldly, you know, boldly, not correct. Kim Kardashian, she ain't correcting people, these fashion houses and Vogue, when they're saying that she's a trendsetter. No, she is biting off Naomi Campbell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She is biting off of women who have come before her.
She's
women
following
of,
trends that just
women
weren't-
of
Yeah,
color.
absolutely.
But she could easily say, no, I
Nah.
don't get credit for this.
Right.
People do that all the time. No, this not mine. You know, no, this ain't my hair. No, this is my hair. But you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Give credit. Give credit. So
Correct.
that's what I would say. Just don't weaponize your whiteness against me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
love
that.
that.
answer.
I think that is the answer. I think that's a deep conversation, because a lot of times, like you said, sometimes it's so unintentional, because it's ingrained in who they are, or who the person is. You know, environment, education, experience. You know, the all those things. You know, exposure. You know, allows you to formulate how you are. And a lot of times we just walk through life with these blinders on, and we don't realize how we are viewing
Okay,
the
I gotta
world.
have an honest moment.
I'm
Please.
scared right now.
When
I'm
are you
scared.
not honest? When are you not
I
honest?
mean, no. So I kind of hinted to something to Kira the other night when we look, being social butterflies.
Okay.
We ran into each other at the reception.
The reception.
Thursday
Yes,
night.
yes, yes.
So last month, was that? Yeah, that was March, February. Yeah, it was February. We went to this brunch, this
Okay.
brunch, and they had these platters of bacon.
Oh my gosh, not
And
this
I ate
bacon.
this
Oh
bacon.
my god.
I ate this bacon like it was candy. That bacon was so damn
She
good.
keep going back to this bacon.
But a week, so the day before, I had this really serious conversation, and it caused a lot of stress. And I didn't know how to deal with it, because I was angry. I had all the emotions, because it dealt with my work, and I don't like people messing with my work. You know what I'm saying? I'm very dedicated to educating people. I love what I do, and so I felt like my work was threatened, my
Integrity.
was threatening, like I wasn't being respected. So I compartmentalized it. So the next day I put on my happy face and I go to brunch and I kick it, because initially I was in bed.
You weren't gonna make it.
I was gonna make it,
Okay.
but I just really chilled in bed way longer than I should have, right? And good thing the lunch lasted about 6 hours.
But listen, that thing went on
We were
forever.
behind too, so
But when a week later, the issue hadn't gone away.
okay.
And it was still on me. Even though I had this spectacular time at the brunch, that week it was on me. That Thursday, my body was telling me that I was stressed. So I felt physically ill. I'm not a sickly person. I know my body. And I knew it wasn't something like I could go eat some pineapples, I'll feel better, or
Come on,
Right.
pineapple.
you know, some ginger. I knew it was something else. So the Holy Spirit, you got to know the voice of the Holy Spirit said, go check your blood pressure. So I go to Walgreens, I check my blood pressure. It's high for me, right? It's like 133 over 92 or 98, something high for me. So I do that. I do it twice. I do it before my meeting. I did it after my meeting. I go home. I'm panicking. I'm drinking red wine. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But I'm still not dealing with the issue. The next morning I go, and the pharmacist said, well, have you been stressed about anything? And I was like, damn, you right. But the thing was this. I was in class, and I have a very open class. Student was giving an experience in Pasadena, and he was sharing about, and he's Hispanic, he was sharing about how he got his ass beat by police when he was a teenager. He was
Wow.
16. He's in his 40s now. If I could guess his age, I would say he's probably in his 40s. And they beat his ass, and he was like, One of the officers got killed, later was killed by somebody he was dealing with drugs with. And then he said, and the other one is now the chief of police. So, that shift the classroom. I'm like, oh, shit, you can't say that. Because I know I got students and parents who work in that community who work in the force. Wow. And I'm mindful of my students, so I'm trying to take back control of the classroom. And he was like, I was like, people can change because people can. Because I'm not who I used to be. Right. You know what I'm saying? We all have our moments. So I'm trying to, change the class. And he was like, nah, they the Klan. Oh, my effing goodness. Did you just say they the Klan?
Yeah.
And so I try to clean that. I'm like, well, there are some historical contexts where Klan were involved with law enforcement. I said, but now it's not the time for that. And that's, and I try to move on and go on back to chapter 5, civil rights.
Chapter 5.
So this American government. Well, one of the students felt away about it, went home to their law enforcement family. Oh, Lord. And that student felt a kind of way. But the student perceived it as me.
Because you are the face of the...
I'm the face, and I'm the only black person in this room in this conversation about the police and Klan, because the Klan don't have a relationship with white folks. Klan have a relationship... Well, no, let me fix that.
Identity.
They have a history with black folks.
Exactly.
So, and it's well documented. So, me, this black woman, in the middle of a area, a community that has a long history with some of this stuff, and... here I am trying to clean it up. Even though I ain't say it, I carried it. I carried it. And one of my students about 2 weeks later said, you just weren't yourself like for about a week. He's like, but you seem better now. And I was like, yeah, I was going through something. You know what I'm saying? Like people can even see you because I was trying to be delicate about it because I was
carry
concerned.
The weight.
I was concerned about how I was
being perceived in that conversation.
It affected who I was. But the moment I ain't giving up, I ain't say that the chief of police is the Klan. I pray he not. I pray he is a very good man upholding the laws of the Texas and the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
And he's fair. I don't know that man for the man on the moon. Shout out to you, sir. I don't know you. I ain't say that, but the fact that I had to carry all that weight, and it physically affected me.
The responsibility of being
my blood pressure is now 119 over.
Shout out for releasing that weight, but I think the weight of being African American or black, or a person of color, period, in America is just. Especially now, I feel, and the reason why I focus on now, not that it hasn't always been this way, but especially now where everything can be seen, it seems like
and used against you.
It seems exactly the court of public opinion has much more weight and authority than anything else. And I mean, that's always been the case, but now it plays out for everyone to see, right? And so we oftentimes, as people of color, we carry the burden and the responsibility of trying to figure out how do we remove ourselves from situations where we know we're not at fault, but at the same time, how do we boldly still become advocates of what we know to be right, without having to be demonized and weaponized against one another, because that's what's been going on. Before we even get into that, this portion of our show is sponsored by Lady Irie Natural Hair Care. Have a kinky curly style in mind? Lady Irie Natural Hair Care has been a prime destination for catering to naturally kinky hair in Houston, Texas, and beyond for over 5 years. Clients come in from all over the world to receive the ultimate experience for their natural hair care needs. Lady Irie Natural Hair Care has been featured on media outlets including Young Black Professionals Magazine, GMT Internet Radio, The Sphere, and more. Your unique vision can be brought to life complete with helpful tips for maintaining your hair. You'll walk into the salon with the warmest of greetings, complimentary refreshments, and knowledgeable stylists that promote total beauty from the inside out. Our goal is to unveil your kinks one curl at a time. Give the experts a call today at 832-265-3792 or book online at www.ladyirie.com, and that's www.ladyirie.com.
I know we got to move on, but I want to say something right quick about the first best friend. So,
Ellington.
Okay. This is important. I don't remember the kid's name that called me nigga. I don't. I can't even remember what the child looked like.
Right.
but I remember the one who made me
you right.
feel good.
Right.
And so that's what's important. You know, so don't get so caught up on those who hurt you.
Right, for
Remember
sure.
the ones that took you in. David might not think of me as his elementary school, first grade, second, third grade
sure.
best friend. But because of how he treated me,
It was
he
important.
was the best friend I had. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have to operate in. That student who recognized something was off, I'll never forget that student because they were paying attention. They don't know the details, but they could tell something was off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But needless to say, that classroom is better. That experience
sure.
is better. You know, I went in there and I told him, I said, hey, if ever something in here is stated that you're uncomfortable with or you're bothered by, tell me. Feel free to walk out if we're watching something
sure.
and it makes you uncomfortable. You're in college.
And
You don't have to, like, they don't get that.
Oh, yeah, I talk to my students about that all the time. I say, you know, y'all are adults. You don't have to ask my permission to do
I
anything
teach
in here except for be
but
respectful.
Some of them are in high school, you know, dual
okay.
enrollment.
Okay.
But it's still college.
It's still college, so you have the
you
opportunity
have the
to lead.
opportunity and communicate.
For sure.
Because if that student would have talked to me,
Yeah, it could have.
we could have been. Yeah,
But then that go. But you know the reason why they didn't talk because
Yeah.
they still already had a skewed
The
view, a perception of what an African American person
Yeah.
feels about the Klan and how their experience with the Klan is. We don't know what their experience is on a
Yeah,
personal
'cause I'm
level.
from Imperial, Polk County.
Lord, let her know. Let them people know.
Do you hear that Imperial? Ask me what that Imperial stand for.
I'm scared.
Oh, the Imperial Wizard. What you think?
Ooh, Lord, this is
I'm
so
from
deep.
sunny Central Florida.
Sunny.
You know why it's hard to chip in University of Central Florida? Because their mascot is called the Knights.
So deep. I told y'all what
Central Florida has a history,
I told you it's the bottom, America's basement.
baby. Central Florida though. Devil in the Grove, Rosewood,
I'm saying that this, but it's so much. There's so many things.
Trayvon.
Like, but it's so exact. Florida has a history that we try to lock
Listen.
up in the basement. Florida,
Listen.
every time some
Everybody
stuff
want
go
to be
down.
palm trees and Mickey Mouse.
I'm like,
it is not.
No, I don't. I listen.
Shit.
You try to lock that stuff up in the basement in Florida. It always go down in Florida. No matter what you talking about, it happens in Florida. But
because
no,
because racism and evil can't be bordered in.
for sure.
You know
And-
what
and
I'm
it's
saying? We
so-
want to say, oh, well, that's a nice part of the country. That would never happen. The hell it wouldn't.
It happens all the time,
And everywhere.
everywhere.
Huh.
She got-
Okay.
That thing rose up.
Hey, didn't it?
Then okay, now let's talk about this real quickly. Okay, so 2020 elections is happening, people. This thing is gonna happen. Now I've seen it was so many people have thrown their hat into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
The newest person is somebody from Florida. He's a Jamaican. Well,
What?
yeah, his name is Wayne Messam, and he's the Democratic mayor of a Florida town.
Okay.
And he now is going to throw his bid in for president. Of
Okay.
course, we have so many other people out there. So I've had this conversation with Kaylin a few times. I'm like, okay, so it's so many people as in the Democratic Party that are now throwing their bid in to run for president. What does that do to the party? And do we have, as black people, our allegiance, especially for women, like for Kamala Harris? Kamala, I always say her name wrong.
Who's doing decent?
Who's doing decent? But I'm like, what is our obligation?
So look.
What does that look like for us? Because it seems like every other week somebody else is new throwing their hat in.
And that's going to happen. What I want people to throw their hat in, run for U.S. Senate, please, people.
Let's go for local government and try to transition that thing to
If
national.
you want to be a national officer, you want to run for national office, run for Senate.
Okay.
U.S. Senate.
Okay.
Run for the House of Representatives.
Right.
Because we need representation in both houses.
Okay.
In the U.S. Senate, we have three black senators, two of which are running for president. One is a viable candidate because Cory Booker is not.
Well,
Right.
there's a yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is a viable candidate. Whether you like her, hate her, don't know much about her, she is a viable candidate. And she's polling ahead of Beto.
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
She is.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But my question with her though, okay,
Oh,
my
she
bad.
got a list. She got
Hold on,
going.
hold on. So we need people who are willing to run for these other offices. Run for local government.
Facts.
You know, but I would like to hear from you about Kamala, but I do want to talk about local politics,
The local
particularly these firefighters in Houston.
Oh.
Prop B. So my only question about Kamala Harris is I wonder, can she get over the hump of being a black woman for this office.
Well, she I think she's already over the hump of being a black woman because she's not married into
but the president is something different. The president traditionally is something different than a senator or a rep. Yeah.
Can't
So
jump it over the hump.
That's my question.
I think she can.
Because Beto, while Beto is polling great in Texas because he's a Texan, and he's polling great in the Southwest because he's
mixture.
He's
He
Mexican.
represents
you know what I'm
a
saying?
lot of
He's not Mexican.
Well,
His name is Robert O'Rourke.
no. He's Mexican.
No.
He's Irish and Mexican. Yes,
No.
He claimed the O.
He's called Beto because Roberto is Robert,
I know.
and that's short.
I know.
He is not Mexican.
My sources say otherwise. I haven't dug into it. My sources say otherwise.
Well, here go the black Irish girl. He is not Mexican.
But listen, but regardless, he's trending well in the Southwest is what I'm getting at, right? But I don't think he has. I never thought he should have ran for the. I thought he would be a great VP candidate.
So
For
Beto
him.
is selfish.
I thought he would have been a great.
Beto
VP
is
candidate.
selfish as hell, and
Wow.
I'm gonna say it.
Why do you think he's selfish?
He's selfish as hell because I paid attention to his campaign. Now I did vote for him.
okay.
And I remember I brought Damian Jones on my show,
He
who
was-
was one
that
of his
was on the show.
political
Mhm.
strategists on his
He
campaign.
was his
And I
political director.
asked him directly. I said, "Is this about running for president? Like, is that what he's aspiring to do?" And he played around it. And I also asked, "Is he really a Democrat?" I asked it, right? Because those are questions that are real. But here's the thing about Beto and why he ain't shit. Because he toured this state bragging about, I visited all 254 counties. And you know who he toured a lot of this state with, eating Whataburger and all of that? Castro, the Castro twins. And I don't think it was a secret to anybody that Castro was going to run for president for 2020.
Right.
And so you sit out here and you act like y'all besties. Besties don't do that. We fight it out. We have some type of competition and the best one win. But we're not going to publicly go against each other.
Right.
And I don't like that about Beto because it was very clear that Julian Castro
Right.
was going to run for president without question. He was already set up
Yeah,
to
he
run
was.
for president.
He was.
That's why the DNC had him speak. You go speak at the DNC, you can write your own check for your
Right.
future.
Right.
And he was a keynote. He wasn't just somebody you don't remember. So the fact that Beto came out against him like that, I say he ain't shit.
Yeah.
You gotta love that.
Listen, I look. I
He
okay.
said it.
He ain't shit. And in his numbers, he's not resonating with people across this country.
No, not
like
the
he's
country.
not in double digits.
And that's why I say he would have been a great VP running
What
mate
is-
because
And
I-
he
because
should
didn't-
have. He should have got behind Julian
uh-huh.
because they could win.
Yeah.
A Castro or Rourke ticket can win.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying I'm voting for nobody right
Right,
now because
right.
we
got
March 2020 hasn't come, so we haven't got to a primary. But what I'm saying is, viable candidates, that ticket would have been a winning ticket.
Yeah.
You know,
Listen, on my radio show, I said it. When we had Damien come on the radio show, shout out to Dame Thad, good friend of mine. It's like, listen, I think he needs to run. I think he needs to be quiet and hitch his wagon politically and see if he can insert himself
they
into
could
a
have finessed
VP,
16 years.
a VP
True
candidate
that.
because
Selfish.
he just did. I didn't think he had
What
the
is-
That's
national
that.
traction.
What kind of privilege is that?
Well, listen, I just didn't think he had the national
I think
traction.
it's knowing that strategy. You have to be able to act.
I didn't see that happening like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
privilege.
But with Kamala, I just wondered if she can get over the
I think
black
she
woman.
can.
hump. I want her to.
I think she can. So I went to see her last week.
Mhm.
I
Well,
was
she
gonna
was
go
here,
see
yeah.
Beto
Tonight.
this evening,
Yeah.
but he at 5:00 and I got other things
Right.
to do. Right, Beto,
love her.
you can't do that. You got to be early in the day. You can't mess
Saturday.
up folks Saturday like that. 5
Not the
o'clock.
socialite.
No.
Well, it's a
And then he
crawfish
don't-
boil
and then-
happening,
And
though.
then he doesn't say what time. He just say 5:00 at 3100. So
Yeah.
at TSU, that means 6:30,
Yeah, when he gonna come out?
7.
But it's gonna be a crawfish boil there though.
I don't
It
eat
is a
that.
crawfish
I don't
boil.
either.
Yeah, I eat seafood. I don't eat ditch food. But
And she from Florida, y'all.
Facts.
But
Yeah, y'all
I
do
will
that out
say
there.
this: she can make the transition as a black woman. I believe there's nothing a black woman.
I agree.
Nothing. So she can be president. She can win this 2020. You know, it's going to take a lot of damn work and a lot of people to get out of their own damn way. But yeah, I think she has what it takes to win. I think that this bottle of water could be president based on who's president now.
Now that's what I'm saying. That's going to take people to really.
But we cannot underestimate him. Though.
No. I'm not underestimating him. I'm well aware
of what
he's capable of. Because he is a prolific liar.
He's a prolific. He knows how to politic.
He knows how to incite.
He
knows his base.
How to incite his
and galvanize his base. Absolutely.
And
they still support him no matter how much he doesn't really support them.
They really don't even come out and vote. He just get enough to come out and vote. Right? So what we have to do is get enough of us to come out and vote.
Yeah.
Do you know the population that leads voting in Texas?
Black folks.
Black people. Mm-hmm. What you don't hear on the news is that while we're steadily telling people, sign up to be a VDR. Matter of fact, Tuesday night, Westside Library in Pearland, you can come become a volunteer. I got to close my eyes to see the flyer. Volunteer deputy registrar for Brazoria County. Once you become a VDR in any county in the state of Texas, you can make a copy of your certification or your certificate and send it to the clerk for the other counties you want to be in. That's power in that. We need to get more people signed up as VDRs to get more people registered to vote. There is a weapon that is against us that is huge that's trying to suppress our vote. When you have Prairie View, Texas, and Waller County, the largest population in the city of Prairie View is made up by the university that is in Prairie View. No different than the largest population in College Station is made up of Texas A&M.
Right.
I am very sure that the county officials in College Station do not tell those students, we're not going to let you vote.
Right.
Like they do in Waller County.
Right.
So last year in Waller County, the last day to register to vote, they flushed out all these students' voter registrations. There was a call that went out. If you are a VDR and can get to Waller County, come help us get these students registered to vote. Thousands of students. There's a reason why our vote is under attack, because we have the numbers. So that measure, the things that went on with the case of Shelby versus Holder in Alabama, the things that Governor Bentley, a former governor of Alabama, Robert Bentley, did to suppress the vote in Alabama, tells me that, yes, a black woman can become president. And all these actions started to rise even higher after a black man became president.
Right. Absolutely. So
you damn straight she can win it. And we got to know the reality of it. We have the power. Robert Bentley ordered one of his staff people to literally, we create a law that requires you have a state ID to vote. He literally ordered a man to close down places where you go get those type of IDs in a certain part of the state.
Right.
The savings on it, because they said it was for savings, was less than $250,000. My nigga say what?
I gotta love her.
For real? That's what we doing? Why are we doing this though? Why would the police chief in Dallas County, Alabama, tell people, y'all gonna disperse or I'ma kill you? Why would you do that? All they want to do is vote. Why are you afraid of them voting? Selma, Alabama is what, 55 years ago? Why are you so freaking afraid? Because you know we been had the numbers.
Right.
So you damn straight Kamala Harris can be president of the United States. Hell, I could be president of the United States. I don't want it though. I don't want to run for nobody office.
Gotta love her.
But I'm just gonna keep it 100. Yes, she can win. They're doing these things purposely. If you're a student and you lose your wallet, but you have your student ID and it's time to vote, you can't use your student ID to go vote.
Right.
Even though it was issued by a state university, that is a state agency.
Absolutely.
It is literally a state property of the state.
It is. It's documented. Yep.
But you can't use that. But you can use your gun license, your concealed hand, your hunter. What? How they do that?
It's so much to this. I feel like
I'm telling you, that is not just coincidental. You know, black people, we ain't trying to. Black people are not looking to be the boogeyman and hurt nobody. We just trying to get our piece of the pie. And maybe you scared that that when the pie, if this round table in front of us was the actual pie and it was time to sit down to it, it was going to be more of us than you to eat, and you afraid we going to be stingy. We ain't never been stingy. That's how you done got to colonize the whole world. We ain't never been stingy. The indigenous people in Australia look like me. My sister called me an Aborigine my whole childhood. I thought I was an adopted Aborigine because Lisa used to say it all the time. Right? You look at the people in South America, Central America. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. India. Everywhere that's colonized. Africa, I don't even have to talk about that. Right? They scared we're going to act like the Haitian sisters and brothers and whoop that ass like the Haitians did the French. That's what they really afraid of. But we tired. We don't even want to fight. Just let us have peace. Okay, I'm done.
I love it.
Drop the mic. So it's wow. We got to get Pretty Petty Politics back on the show because
can we talk about economics though? Because Ronnie's economics. I'm sorry.
we got to get both of y'all back on the show. But regardless, and let's do that real quick about with economics. Okay. Well, let's
table it and switch it.
Okay, let's table it and switch it. All right. Well, listen, let people know how they can follow y'all and get in contact with y'all.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at Professor McShay.
Thinking about which one.
Yeah, seriously. Professor McShay on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook at Pretty Petty Politics Podcast, as well as on Instagram at Pretty Petty Politics Podcast. If you do find my personal pages and you decide to follow me. Yeah. I am her. She. I am.
If you find it.
Listen.
If you go to searching it.
How can they get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me on Texas Black Pages on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. It's Texas_Black_Pages. Go to the website, www.texasblackpages.com. Go to your Google store and download Texas Black Pages app. You can also find jobs. You can find a whole bunch of stuff on the Texas Black Pages app as well. Or if you want to reach out to me, you want to partner, do an event, email me at txblackpages, that's plural, txblackpages@gmail.com, and we can definitely grow together.
And please follow him on Instagram because he has a plethora of information. I get so excited when I see the things that he posts to help our community.
We got to talk offline.
Economically.
We got to talk offline.
Yeah.
I just thought about it.
And he has some great things in the pipeline. Can we talk about it?
Well, we're gonna table it. Let's switch it.
Okay.
So, this is your man, Kalen Laws, a.k.a. Senor Wapo. Follow me on all social media outlets at SENORGUAPO713. Holla at your boy.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with 2 I's, no Y. So CINDI.
See you soon.
See you soon.